So I'm back in Philly after spending a spectacular few days in Newport Beach at our Hyde Park location doing a pre-owned watch show. It was our first event on the West Coast and it was great. Got to meet some amazing clients, spend time with the team, and enjoy some spectacular weather. And on Saturday, I got to watch my son's basketball team, Roger Williams, win the D3 CCC championship, and they are dancing. I am a proud papa. So a few weeks ago, we saw a very interesting launch of the Polo 79. Now, Piaget is not a brand we speak about a bunch on Market Wrap, but suddenly it's all the internet was talking about. Now, just a little history. The Piaget Polo is one of the most iconic 80s watches ever made. I have a personal affinity for the brand and the piece specifically because when I was in college, I got a part-time job selling watches at a local jeweler. They were a Rolex dealer, carried Omega, but I was also introduced to a brand I'd never heard of, Piaget. The first important watch I ever sold was an all-yellow gold Polo, and it was amazing. At the time, the Rolex Presidential was selling for around $8,000, but the Piaget was just over $10K. I couldn't believe someone would pay over $10,000 for a watch, and it was quartz. It quickly became the flashy 80s icon, and after making that first big sale, I was hooked and have never looked back. Now, I've always loved buying and selling Piagets, and when most of the world didn't care about the big gold 80s watches, I always held a soft spot for them. Now, fast forward 40 years, and we get the relaunch of the Polo 79. Has a gorgeous design with almost 200 grams of gold and a very nice micro-rotor automatic movement. The reaction to the watch has been universally positive. They were incredibly faithful to the design aesthetic, and it's a really amazing modern interpretation of a true classic. Now, while everyone seemed to agree on the beauty of the piece, the discussion quickly turned to price. The watch has a suggested retail price of $73,000. Yes, you heard that right, $73,000 for a classic automatic. Now granted, it has a lot of gold, but when most people swallowed hard when they heard the price. Now the reason the price is especially interesting is that you can buy the original 80s Polos for right around $10K. I expect we might see an increase in demand for those pieces, but it's still a far way from $73,000. Now to put the pricing in perspective, the Patek 5711 1R had a retail price of $63,871 when it was discontinued, and the Vacheron 222 retails for $62,500. Now granted, the Nautilus and the 222 trade over retail, but I still think the $73K price tag startled some people. Now recently we've seen a number of brands relaunching classic models, and we're seeing more and more people going back to the 80s. Bulgari just launched the Bulgari Bulgari in gold, Vacheron very successfully relaunched the 222, and Cartier has been extremely successful remaking Panther, La Cloche, Taste, and Symmetric, and many others. Now, having grown up in the 80s and 90s, I love seeing the revival and the appreciation of classic designs. We've seen IWC redo the Da Vinci, we're seeing Daniel Roth and Genta relaunch, and I expect 2024 to bring more of the same. Now, the Vacheron 222 has quickly turned into a cult classic, and demand has far outstripped supply. They constantly trade well over retail. I think the market was surprised by the strength of the 222, since it was traditionally not a very successful design for Vacheron. The remake has been far more successful than the original. Now, the Piaget Polo was one of the most successful designs and was extremely popular for decades. The Polo was really the FU watch of the day and certainly fit the flash of the times. Everything in the 80s was bigger, better, and more expensive, which was not an issue. Now that we have fast-forwarded 40 years, we'll have to wait and see how the market responds to what is arguably a high price. Now, I'm sure out of the gate, demand will far outstrip supply. I would expect the first few pieces will hit the market and be offered considerably over retail. And if Piaget does it right, and historically they have, it's a relatively small brand with an estimated production ranging from 25 to 30,000 pieces produced annually. Distribution of the brand is very tight, and I expect we will see retailers and boutiques bundling to deliver the first few pieces. Now, whether it trades above for a long time or just trades right around retail, without a doubt, this is a huge win for Piaget as the brand. Having a piece that attracts this much buzz and chatter on the internet is huge for the brand, and good for the overall industry. Now with the success of the 222 and the Polo, I'll expect we see more icons from the 80s and 90s being relaunched. It'll be great for the market.